Welcome to the channel. This is Holden from Classroom Camp, and today I'm going to give my spoiler-free review of Dear Debbie by Freida McFadden. Once again, this is a spoiler-free review, so I'm not going to spoil anything, not going to give away any major details, just going to tell you a little bit about this book and then my overall thoughts. So, Dear Debbie is about the titular character, Debbie, her husband Cooper, and some other side characters that factor into the story. And Debbie is this woman who is pretty much a housewife. She does have a side gig where she makes a little bit of money. Cooper is an accountant. And, you know, Debbie is, she loves her garden. She's kind of like in this competition with some people in the neighborhood as far as their gardens are concerned. You know, she wants to have the best garden. She's got some kids who, one of them is on the soccer team at school. The other one has this boyfriend that is, you know, kind of shady, kind of strange, and that's pretty much it. That's all I can really tell you without telling you what's going on in the story, because, I mean, honestly, this book does not have much of a plot. And that's actually one of my biggest criticisms of this story, is that there really isn't a plot. Yes, there are some things that happen, and that's pretty much it. There are just things that are happening throughout this story, and it eventually leads to a climax, and, you know, but not really much of a plot. And that's all I want to say, because I don't want to spoil anything or give any clues. Personally, I do not like spoilers, and so that's very vague. But so what did I think about this book? Well, I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads because I did enjoy it. I'm a big Freida fan. I think I've read just about all of her body of works. I started with The Locked Door, and after that I was hooked. So I've read all of her major stuff. And at this point, anytime she has a new release coming out, I actually pre-order it, and, you know, it comes straight to my Kindle, so I pretty much read them immediately, and just on her release schedule, you know, I'm forever a fan now. But this book, it's not one of my favorite Freida books. And I was actually surprised, because when I left my review on Goodreads, I got on and saw that a lot of people really loved this book. People were giving it 5 stars, saying that this is her best novel ever. And then I watched a couple of YouTube reviews, maybe like some early reviewers, and they were saying this is like her best, or one of her best. And I did not feel that way. I don't think that this holds like a candle to the entire Housemaid series. It's definitely not up there for me with The Boyfriend. I thought even The Tenant was better. It wasn't up there with The Teacher, The Coworker. Those are some of my favorites. The Inmate. It did not live up to those. And I think part of the reason, again, it's because this book didn't really have much of a plot. And I didn't find it all that surprising. If you're familiar with Freida's writing style, and she writes these mystery thrillers, and a lot of times they have these like major twists. And this one, I didn't really find it all that surprising. And I'm not saying if there were or weren't twists. I don't know. It was a little bit different. It almost didn't feel like a Freida book to me. So there was that. And then I feel like this book exposed a flaw in Freida's writing. Maybe not necessarily a flaw, but I think probably kind of a weakness that is something that I've really been picking up on lately. And that is that Freida's characters are often very paper thin, and they start to feel the same. Like, if you were to compare a character from one book to the other, I mean, a lot of them could almost be the same character. And something that happens in this book is, and this is no spoiler or anything, is that some chapters are told from the different perspectives. So you have chapters that follow different characters. And there were at least 3 characters in here that the way that they are written and the just as far as the sentence structure, the vocabulary, everything that they're saying is the same. And there's really no variance in the characters. And so that was something that kind of bothered me as I was reading, because I was like, these characters really, despite their like difference in backgrounds and like difference in what they have going on in the story, they just feel like they could be the same person. And that's something that I have again, I've noticed this with some of her other books. And in this one, when you have a story that takes on the multiple character perspectives, and those characters, the way that they read and the way that they say things seems too similar. It's like these characters don't have any personality. And that's something that I've overlooked for a long time with her writing. I said, that's fine, because I enjoy the experience of reading these types of novels. But in this one, it kind of bugged me and was something that I did not really like. And I don't think this book was bad enough to give any lower than a 4, because I enjoyed reading it. But it's really hard for me to say anything that I just really, really enjoyed or really, really liked about this. I do like that, despite the fact that I felt like this wasn't like a Freida novel in points, I liked that it was different. I'll give it credit for that, but it's not something that I just really, really thought was awesome. It feels weird saying this. My fiance finished this a couple of hours before I finished it, and she read it and got to the end, and she was like, "Oh, Freida is a genius," and she's like 5 out of 5. She loved it, and so it was weird for me to kind of get to the end and be like, "Yeah, it wasn't necessarily my favorite." So those are my thoughts on Dear Debbie by Freida. I still can't wait for her next novel. I'm already like, okay, well, I'm ready for something else. So I hope that she does something a little bit different than what she did here. This was okay for me. Again, a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. Those are my thoughts. Now, I'm curious to hear what you think. Let me know down in the comment section. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel. I talk about all types of things in the classroom, education news, and give teaching tips. But also, I like to give book reviews sometimes, because I am a reading teacher, and I like to read, and so that's just one of my interests as a teacher. But anyways, thank you for watching. That's all I've got for you in this one, and I will see you in the next one.